Okay, welcome back to another episode. My name is Karen. This is Dr. Jane. Today's topic will be discussing cheating spouses.
Sure.
But before we dive into that, because it's a heavy topic, I wanted to know what you thought about the slap heard around the world. Did you hear about that? The Will Smith?
Yeah, that's a lot of bullshit.
But don't you think, as I watched it unfold, I'm like, that guy has a lot of mental issues. I feel like it was a cry for help.
I don't know. It could be publicity because it
I don't
was
know.
done already. With that other guy, and he got a lot of bad publicity. But I don't know. I don't follow that.
No.
No.
I was like, I'm gonna ask Dr. Jane what she thought about that
I don't
situation
know.
because I feel like he was acting out out of attention, like
I didn't
attention
see
seeking.
it. I didn't see it. I don't know anything.
No.
I mean, I know just what I read.
Yeah, it was interesting. You missed a very embarrassing moment on the Oscars, which was down.
Why did he do that? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, Chris Rock was making a joke about Will Smith's wife, who has a medical condition called alopecia. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
that, with the hair loss. And so he made a comment about that, and Will Smith didn't like it, so he just walked up on the stage and
Oh, I
slapped him.
see. Oh, is that the context?
That's the.
Well,
that's
I
the-
think that's very nice, actually.
But then he started crying.
Who?
Will Smith, the guy that did the slapping,
Yeah. because-
issued an apology on stage as he's receiving his Oscar, which I'm like, he just tainted his whole Oscar moment. And he starts crying. I'm like, that man needs help.
I don't know.
It was embarrassing for pop culture, I think,
Could
for the
be.
times we live in now. But that's beside the point. We're now going to dive into, as we're talking about spouses,
Yeah.
why the hell do people cheat? Why do spouses cheat on each other?
Well, I think one of the biggest problems is people don't know how to talk straight with each other. They're not honest with each other. They don't really communicate, and also I have, that I have certification in kink sex.
Mm-hmm.
I know the whole kink community, all the different variables of it, and the kink people have very strict rules for behavior. Very strict rules, but the straight, so-called the other communities do not. Anything goes. So they don't have any agreements about anything. Females don't understand men's needs.
Mm-hmm.
They forget that they're first a woman. I'm talking about in heterosexual relationships, and that they should really take care of their man. They meet the man after a long day in looking haggard and washed out.
Mm-hmm.
How is a man supposed to find that attractive? That's number one. On the other side, men don't listen to women.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to listen to women. They don't know how to have sex with a woman. So their wives are probably not satisfied because men think that sex starts, or that sex is found just from the waist down, which it isn't. Sex starts first thing in the morning in the kitchen when you're having breakfast.
When you make her a cup of coffee.
You are thinking about her, you have her first in mind. It doesn't start when you decide you're going to be naked in bed
Mm-hmm.
and you want to have sex.
So foreplay is what you're saying, like just
Even
leading
before,
up
I'm
to that.
talking about foreplay. I'm talking about life, really living love with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
loving your partner, respecting your partner, and both people understanding the other person's needs. People just don't understand.
Well, and let's go back to what you said about like the woman looking haggard or not taking care of herself or whatever the case may be. when that happens, I mean, 90% of the time the woman is home taking care of home or taking care of children, or
Yeah.
and I can see how a woman loses sight of her self-care because I've done that myself. But I wouldn't expect my husband to step out on me because I'm not put together every day.
Okay, well, that's great in the best of worlds, in an ideal world. But a man likes to see an attractive woman who he wants to have sex with.
But he can have sex with an attractive woman that won't always look attractive either.
Okay, but I agree with you. I'm just talking about how the male brain is and how the male is. I mean, for myself, I like an attractive man.
Right.
It's just, and the trick is to live day in, day out, year after year with the person and still stay attractive. That's a trick, but you got to do it.
But the law of attraction is well, I'm going to say this, what's attractive to you may not be attractive to me, right? So like if I see my husband sweating while he's mowing the lawn and he's put on a couple pounds or whatever the case may be, doesn't shave for a day, to me, I see.
Well, I'm not talking about what your perception of attractiveness is. I'm talking about what the man's perception of attractiveness is.
And I'm trying to understand, because that makes
a man likes
absolutely no sense to me, how a man is just, so does every man think that way then? Because that kind of makes it okay in a sense, like it sounds like it's making an excuse for them to step out.
No, it doesn't. No, it's not. It's just that women forget. They forget that they're also a sex partner. They're not just mothers. Look, I have 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
I know the whole thing. You got to do it all. That's basically what it is.
Okay, so
it's not fair, but that's how it is.
That makes me angry. I'm angry for the women that have been cheated on.
Okay, well,
because I'm one of them.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm one of them too.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, but sometimes that's one reason men cheat. I didn't get to all the reasons.
And when men cheat, most of them don't leave, like they're cheating because they're with their wife or girlfriend and they've stepped out. So why not just leave the wife and the girlfriend that you're not happy with and do what you have to do?
That doesn't mean he's not quote unquote happy. Men also have sex with other women for other reasons. Maybe they have a sex problem. Maybe they have a sex addiction. Maybe they're looking for their mother.
Mm-hmm.
And they have serial sex with females because they'll never find their mother in anybody, because they're never going to have sex with their mother.
Right.
So it's just going to be an endless search for something that they can't have. That's another reason. Another reason is just that the man can be just immoral, just unethical.
Yeah.
And that's also possible. A lot of possibilities. And then some people just want change.
Right, and I can see that. The thing is, I don't know why you don't pursue that change without letting go of what you already have. Like, don't hurt the person that you don't want to be with. Just end that. Don't cheat on her. Do your thing. By all means, screw everybody you want, but leave this person alone.
Yeah, but sometimes people want their cake and they want to eat it too. They have children. They don't want to leave their children. They don't want to mess up a family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do a lot of things. I've seen the funniest things of how men actually, you think that they actually feel guilty because unconsciously they leave clues about cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And the females are very good detectives.
Oh yeah.
And they know, they can feel the slightest thing. And a lot of men get caught that way. And
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's a riot.
Just from my own personal experience, I was married for 2.5 years to this person that cheated on me, on and off. I was with him a total of 6 years. very tumultuous marriage, very demanding in the sense of I just lost who I was. But he ended up cheating on me with somebody at work, and
At his work?
at his job. And they ended up together or whatever. I had a very bad experience with this person, so I had made a comment on social media about the fact
The
that
female or the male?
the male,
Yeah. Your
I made-
husband.
my ex-husband,
Yeah.
I made a comment on social media about how happy I was that I no longer had to deal with this toxic person. And his mistress, and that's what I'm going to call her because she was the person he was sneaking around with while we were married, saw my comment and made a comment back saying, he's actually pretty awesome.
Okay, well, that's just,
But here's where I'm getting at.
yeah.
Just because the person that stepped out is now happily married and he's changed his life or whatever, which I don't believe for a second.
No, he's doing
Just
it
because
again
he's
to
blowing
her.
sunshine up your ass and giving you everything that you want doesn't take away from the shit that he did to me.
Yeah, but also he'll do it again.
Exactly.
That's
so
what
my
they
point,
all do
my
it again,
point was,
and
as,
she probably knows it right this second.
but my point was, as a female, it boggles my mind that another female would kind of belittle or make fun of the turmoil that I went through with him.
Yeah, but not everybody's nice,
I
Karen.
know. That's what I'm saying.
And she's probably, a douchebag. Anyway, and really a loser.
And which is what he is. So I said,
So
you'll
what do
figure
you
that
care?
out. But I always,
Yeah.
it's not that I care, because
No, I
trust
mean,
me,
so let him.
this was years back. It's
Right.
not that I care, but in the moment, I was angered at the fact that she couldn't understand that I suffered in this marriage. And if he's doing great by you, great. Maybe he changed. That doesn't change anything that I went through. And so I feel
No.
like a lot of people, a lot of women, judge women that get cheated on in a sense that they're like, well, you aren't doing anything right. I know I did everything right. I did everything right to the point where I pushed myself into an eating disorder. And that was like enough for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I have
That's
a
a
very
control thing, eating problems.
yeah,
You're calling it an eating disorder. I don't know.
whatever clinical term it is, it was not healthy. So the other thing is, why is it that when men cheat, they cheat because they're not happy or whatever? When a woman cheats, she's a whore. Why?
Because this is a Christian Greek Greek culture
Mhm.
where women, it's a misogynistic culture basically from Christian Greek thinking, and the woman is either a whore or a Madonna. In Hebraic culture, you don't have that duality, and that's how it is. You gotta be either a whore or a Madonna, which is stupid.
I never thought of it that way. It's another thing that kind of gets to me because a woman steps out because she's unhappy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I think women have sex because they want attention and they're not being attended to. It's not necessarily because they want sex.
Which kind of circles back around to the communication part where you don't tell your spouse, I feel neglected, I feel...
Exactly. That's right. And so, it's just you have to communicate and not be afraid of what the outcome will be, because the outcome will be much worse if you don't do it head on. It'll just come back and bite you big time.
It'll be way more consequential if you...
Way worse and way more painful.
So what do you say to a marriage or a couple that they've endured cheating? Let's say the husband stepped out on the wife and there was concrete proof, right? And they choose to work it out.
So fine.
Is that something that will the person do it again? Is it statistically known that they'll probably cheat again?
I don't know. I mean, if they don't communicate well, if maybe that kind of sexual relationship doesn't work in their relationship, it may not. Sometimes, like, after 20 years of marriage or 30 years of marriage, a man can get bored, let's say, or a woman can get bored.
Yeah.
So let them change the structure of the sexual relationship. There are loads of communities that do that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily personally agree with it,
Right.
but there are ways to realistically and reasonably and ethically and with good communication work it out. I know lots of things from the King community.
Mm-hmm.
People have all kinds of relational
And
things.
go back to that a little bit, because you said something about how they have a behavioral understanding.
Yeah,
What is,
they're very structured. Like I had the teacher of my course had a husband. She had a child, a son with that husband. She had her main boyfriend, and then she had other boyfriends. And she showed me her appointment book. That because one man's gonna get jealous of the other.
and they all know about each other?
Of course, that's what I'm talking about. It's all out in the open. It's all out in the open. And
It sounds like a Netflix movie, because that's a lot to deal with.
it goes on, you don't know how much it is so prevalent.
So how does something like that affect the kids in the
The kid-
marriage?
I asked the son, I said, so how do you like this arrangement? He said, I love it. I have 3 fathers.
Okay, so it's an arrangement where they are long-term relationships with each person, not like she's going out and meeting people
Yeah,
all the
Karen,
time.
the problem in relationships is when you lie.
Yeah.
When you lie, when you're not truthful, when you sneak, when you're not communicating clearly, you're purposely obfuscating things. And that's when there are problems. When people can be out in the open, even if people don't completely. I never heard of any of those relationships I met in the King community where the woman didn't want to have that kind of sexual relationship or the man didn't in the beginning, but they don't get divorced. I mean, it happens, of course, but they don't get divorced because you don't have that sudden thing that's dropped on you where the man's cheating or the woman's cheating
Yeah.
and lying. It's the lying, the lack of trust, the breaking of trust.
Mhm.
That's the worst thing in a relationship. Sex is not the worst. It's the lying and the cheating and the sneaking.
And when it comes to cheating, there are different forms, right? Because
No.
you can be emotionally involved with somebody
Oh,
or
that.
start to be or whatever, but
There-
I think that when you even have the thought in your head,
Oh, come on.
don't you think that that's a
That's-
warning sign?
I think that's a Catholic way of looking at it. People have loads of thoughts in their heads. They can't be punished for what they're thinking.
I'm not saying like, I'll give you an example. I think Denzel Washington is drop dead gorgeous, right? I wouldn't cheat on my husband for him. So I'm thinking people think a man is attractive, whatever.
Yes.
But when you have specific thoughts about a person that you've come in contact with and it runs in your mind.
So what? Thinking doesn't matter. You can think you want to fuck your father. So you're thinking it. It's
I don't know.
the action. It's the action. The action that is where you draw the line.
Yeah.
It's acting on it. What? I mean, then you're like discounting a whole area of the brain about fantasies. Fantasies are not bad.
I just don't want my husband fantasizing about anybody else but
What
me,
do
and
you
vice
think?
versa.
Do you really think a man, he doesn't fantasize for a second even about females?
I don't know.
Don't be ridiculous, Karen.
I don't even think about that because I don't want to be
Absolutely.
that person.
Absolutely. It's like, yeah, but we got to do some processing about your trauma about that, because that's what men and women do.
Yeah, but I'm
You
not.
can
Here's the
think as much
thing.
as you want.
I mentioned that I was cheated on in all my long-term relationships in my past. I don't worry about my marriage. I don't worry about the person I'm with. I don't want to be with anybody else. I know he doesn't want to be with anybody else. I think that in the times that we live in right now, you see that more often than not, where marriages don't last. People get divorced at the drop of a dime. People cheat on each other left and right. And I feel like it has a lot to do with not being able to talk and express. Like I'm expressing the way I feel about certain things, and I feel like you're getting a little bit agitated because
I'm not.
you're
No,
it's
I
coming
just, no.
you're coming from a professional standpoint,
I'm
and I'm coming from a very
Yeah, well, I don't
emotional
like,
standpoint.
I've heard before, like people, well, he was thinking about it. That annoys me very much
Mhm.
because fantasies are, you can't touch fantasy areas. You know, well, how are you going to control the fantasy? That's crazy. You can't control fantasies. Look, first of all, you walk down a street, you have women all dressed up. It's women who look at women too, a lot, you know. And if my husband looked at somebody, who I don't have a husband now, if he looked at somebody, so let him look. What do I care if he looks?
I think that has to do a lot with your self-worth and security. If you're
Yes,
secure in
that's
your
right.
relationship, then you're not going to worry about it.
Because you know what? When the man stops looking, you put him out to pasture, because he's not going to be good in bed anymore if he stops looking.
I'm just, wow. There's a lot going on in this conversation.
Keep it up.
You have
So-
to look. It's human. It's human to be sexual. Bodies are not. It comes again from that original Greek Christian concept that the physical world is bad,
Yeah, I mean,
and you know, it's just a dumb, misogynistic, actually, way
Yeah.
of looking at things.
I just have a bias, I guess, because
Because you were hurt.
because
and
I
you're
was
still hurting
because there's so
from it.
many of people that are close to me that have suffered this kind of pain, and I don't wish it on anyone. I don't even wish it on the girl that was the mistress. I don't, because as a female with a family, you don't wish that your marriage falls apart or gets cheated on for anybody.
Okay, but you got it. You know, you had to learn with him, and he had to learn how to communicate things. That was
A
the
lot of
first
things.
problem.
That was the smallest part of the problems
yeah,
that we
okay.
had. But
You married a whatever you married.
a dickhead.
A
I'm just
dickhead.
playing. Yeah, so this is, I've learned a couple things, not necessarily that I agree with, but it's just the times that we live
Well,
in.
that's the community out there, because
Mhm.
I'm in touch with a big chunk of humanity, and it comes down to the same kinds of things.
Now, the same way that a woman gets hurt and her whole world
A
gets,
man can be shattered.
can get hurt as well, which
Shattered.
any kind of cheating I don't agree with.
I know a man that happened to. A man, he thought he was going to, he worked out of the country for periods of time, and he thought he was going to surprise her coming back,
Oh no.
and he turns the key in the door, and he walks in, and he sees clothes strewn all around the floor.
Oh my god, it's like a freaking movie.
Leading to the bedroom. He opens the bedroom door, and there he is in bed. There she is in bed with the next door neighbor.
Oh wow, that sounds like a Desperate Housewives rerun.
And he said he cried. He just cried and cried and cried.
And so did he stay in the marriage?
No, he divorced her ass pretty fast.
Wow.
That was a rhyme.
You're a poet and you didn't know it.
I know it. But
See, that just goes again with just tell the person you're not happy and move on.
Yeah,
I mean, and who
or-
knows how long that affair was going on.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, or you can't expect if you're out of the country and you're away that your wife is going to get her emotional needs met. That doesn't work well.
See, and you say that, and I hear you, but that to me doesn't make it okay to sleep with the next door neighbor.
Of course it's not okay. It's not okay because there's a better way to get your life under control and
Mhm.
to run your life, like being honest, like saying, hey, you're away too much. I need my needs met. Either you do X, Y, or Z, or X, Y, or Z. That's how you lay things out.
Yeah.
You don't cheat and steal, like steal as in, with relationships, and you don't
Mess around.
sneak around.
Now, I know this is probably going to bring up some other topics that we don't necessarily see eye to eye on, but I'm a firm believer that if you don't have some sort of spirituality or belief or religion in your marriage that you're both on the same page with, it's not going to work anyway.
Well, the reason I think it's so important to believe in a creator, a creative force,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it, of the whole of infinity. It's very important because then the person has some humility about themselves. They don't think that they are the center
Yeah.
of the universe. And when I meet people who scoff at belief, I say, what a pathetic person that is.
Yeah.
Because they just, and then it gives you a value system and an ethical system.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important.
And for me personally, I'm already getting emotional thinking about it. I don't think anything happens by chance, right? So
No,
I
nothing
feel like
happens
you're
by
supposed to go through some bullshit to get to the better part of your life. I was meant to be cheated on. I was meant to find this horrible
but
person.
also, Karen, everybody puts out,
The person
gets
you were,
back
that's-
whatever they put out.
But that's what I'm saying. I just
That
want to
was the-
finish my thought
Yeah, go ahead.
because I was meant to meet this horrible person because he showed me exactly what I did not want in my life.
Yeah.
So you live through all that turmoil and all that bullshit. I met my husband, and I feel like the foundation we have is rock solid. I want to thank that bad relationship because to me, you showed me what I did not want. You led me in a way, in a sense, to my now husband, and there's nothing that'll rock that for me. I mean, it sounds a little bit cocky, but
It's not cocky.
I'm happy and content in the life that I have right now after being cheated on and all of that crap that I went
Well,
through. And it was hard. It was
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, it might have been better if you hadn't been cheated on.
It might
You
have been better,
learned.
but I learned a lot.
But basically, if anything that happens to anybody is not because of anybody else,
Mhm.
it's because of them. Whatever you put out there as your electromagnetic energy level is what comes back to you.
Right.
So that's what you learn. You learn to raise your electromagnetic energy.
Mhm.
Like when you look at a husband you used to have, you say, shit, was I there? Is that who I was?
Yeah.
Because it's mirrored in you.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. I never blame anybody for anything that's happened.
Mhm.
It's only me. And that's why I keep raising my level doing Dispensa's work
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Nothing happens by chance. I don't think any
No.
relationship you have happens by chance.
Synchronicities. That's
Mhm.
what happens.
This is heavy. I think I'm.
I know you need some. You need to get hosed down.
No, I really have a soft place in my heart for relationships that suffer and go through things like this because
Well, sure, but
it's
I
sad.
suffer too.
And I have a soft
Yeah.
place in my heart for you. I mean, it's just something that people, it's life, and not many of us have the opportunity or we don't know how to speak about
The
it.
great thing, Karen, is you have a lot of feeling. You have a lot of empathy,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel, which is wonderful. So it's just how some people are cold. Some people have no heart. Some people have no empathy.
Some people suck.
Yeah, some people have zero oxytocin. They
Mhm.
don't feel for other people. They don't feel themselves.
And they take this like feeling and having emotion as a sign of weakness. I don't. I feel like
no,
people that are able to show their emotions and
of
whatever
course.
it may be,
I'm
they're secure. They're secure in their own.
yeah,
lives.
but I'm gonna tell you, don't hang around with low-level people.
Oh yeah,
You gotta get rid of them.
that's a lesson we try to teach our children too. In this,
Low-level energy, you get rid of them. Toxic energy,
yeah,
always get rid of them.
it stays with you.
That's
And
right.
toxic energy is it's like a disease. It's like contagious.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm good with what the work we're doing to better improve my mindset on things. But I'm never gonna not, and I know you're not trying to change that. I'm never gonna not be an emotional person. I'm never
Well,
gonna
why
not.
would you want to be? That's
And that's what
wonderful.
I'm saying. Like a lot of people
I
take it
am.
as a sign of
Don't you know I'm
weakness.
very emotional?
No.
I am. You just hear me as a clinician.
Yeah.
You should hear me scream.
So I mean, and that's the thing. Emotion comes out in different forms. I cry. Yeah, I
Sometimes. mean, people should look. In my personal life, I don't cry anymore.
Yeah.
In that way, because everything happens, and I don't let the outside world, no one and nothing controls me. If you do Dispenser's work, you don't get wrecked by anything.
Right. So some last minute advice to give people that are dealing with cheating spouses. What do you think?
You made a mistake a long time before that when you didn't get straight, talk straight, insist on honesty, insist on people talking straight, and making sure that both of you are communicating. And that's where cheating can't happen if you're both straight and honest.
Communication is key.
You gotta communicate. If he comes to you and he says, I want to have sex with the neighbor down the street, you know,
He might get Will Smithed.
and you say, you can say whatever you want, but even by just expressing it, sometimes it's good just to be able to express it.
Then you know you have something to work on.
That's right. Or change your lifestyle, your sexual lifestyle. But talk about it.
And it's okay not to have a perfect relationship too. I think
You
a lot
can't
of
have a
females think
perfect
that you have
relationship.
like a relationship that doesn't argue to me is not healthy.
No, you don't have to argue. I mean, there are good arguments and there are bad arguments.
Right.
Good arguments where you're talking loudly about
Debating.
what you are thinking or feeling, and that's good that you're communicating it. If you never do that, you know, that's not good either.
It all starts with just talking. Just talking. And
That's
sometimes
right.
those talks won't be so smooth, but you're talking.
That's right. You gotta lay it out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you can't get caught up in the children and forget about your relationship.
Well, the children are going to leave the house one day, and then you're left with your spouse.
Exactly.
So
That's right.
nourish that relationship, because
Exactly
it's not. It's,
right. And females, look good for your husbands, and males, look good for your wives. That's my advice.
I hope I look good today.
You look good.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. This was definitely not an easy thing to talk about. It's one of those things, though. You need to get it out in the open. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you tune in next time. Please subscribe to our channel, click the like button, and set your notifications so that you know when we post new videos. Talk to you soon, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.